Hey folks, Matt from Weight Health Synergy. The garden's been doing awesome this summer, and this summer was one of the first times I've tried zucchini. My zucchini plants are huge. I've got them in full sun and they're doing awesome. I've got this huge zucchini here. Actually, that's not the smallest one. I have an even bigger one right here. And this guy dwarfs this one. So there's lots of things you can do with zucchini. I like it chopped up with butter and some other veggies on the barbecue. Actually, butter, tomatoes, and some garlic is wonderful. I'm just going to turn down. I've got some broccoli steaming in the background here, so you might hear that. It's cooking in the background. That's the steaming sound you might hear. So, zucchini. I like it like that on the barbie. That's zucchini, tomatoes, some mozzarella cheese, maybe a little butter in there, some salt and pepper. You could throw some garlic in. Lovely. Do it up in tinfoil on the barbie. You could fry it up in a pan. Today, what we're going to do is we are going to pickle it. We're going to take this jar here, mason jar, and we are going to add 2 teaspoons of salt, and we are going to add some water. So I got another jar of water there. And then we are going to add some whey, if you want to call it that, off the top of the yogurt. So that's that water that sometimes forms on the top of natural yogurt. Now this is original Balkan style natural yogurt. There's no additives or crap in here. It's just really good yogurt. So what will happen over time is as it sits, a little bit of water will form on the top, and that is actually a really good starter for anything that you're pickling or fermenting. So see if I can move this over here for the other camera to get a shot of the yogurt. So that is Astro original Balkan style yogurt. And we'll move these both out of the way here. And we'll grab our knife. My favorite knife is my Global. I don't remember which number this is. It's a G2, but it's, I guess it's a 6 or 7 inch. Anyways, we're going to chop up the zucchini. So we're going to start by taking the ends off of it here. It's always the first thing I do. I save those. Again, my dog, I have a British Bulldog, Penny, and she loves her vegetables. So we're going to chop this up. Basically, we're going to make it into small pieces that's going to fit into this jar. So I want to take it and half it, and then I'm going to quarter it. And when we've got it quartered, then I'm going to take it and I'm going to chop it up into smaller pieces. Let's move these two out of the way so you can get a good look at what we're doing here. So doesn't have to be too precise. Basically, we're just trying to get them to all fit in the jar. I know from experience that roughly all this will fit into that jar because I just did one the other day, and I will show it to you. It's almost ready. It takes about 3 days if room temperature is between, say, 70 and 80. If it's a little cooler, it might take 4, maybe 5 days, and then you move it to the fridge, and it's all ready to eat. So if you like pickles, which use cucumber, obviously, to make. When you pickle cucumbers, you get pickles. You probably like zucchini. So it's really good. Oh, dropping the lid there. So I'm going to take this, the jar, and I'm just going to start stuffing my zucchini into this jar. I didn't grab my funnel from my mason jars. I probably should have. It makes things easier, but we're not going to do that today because I forgot. Don't really need it, actually. I guess I didn't forget. I just didn't grab it. So you can see we're probably getting up on 2/3, 3/4 here. But once we compact that down a little bit, which we're going to do, we will have more room. We'll just move this out of the way while we're chopping this up. And we've got almost all of the zucchini chopped up now. Fermented vegetables, pickled vegetables, especially when you do them naturally like this. There's no additives, there's no preservatives. Well, the preservative is salt and just a little bit of whey added. The whey is not necessary, although I find it helps. Helps to get the good pickling fermentation going, as opposed to, I guess it just accelerates it maybe a bit. Gets the good bacteria in there that you want, like what is in yogurt. But it's not necessary. If you don't have yogurt whey or anything like that, you can use a starter. The other thing you can do is you can just add another teaspoon of salt. So instead of going with, I'm just pushing these in, as you can see, into the jar here. because you can do that. You can just squish them down and get as many in there as you can. And actually, I'm going to get a tamper for my blender for my Vitamix out, which works really well for these. So I'm squishing down, as you can see here, because I want to get all these in that I can. I'll let the dog have the extras today. Sometimes if I got a lot of extra, I'll eat it myself. But we'll take these extras here and we'll just throw them in the dog's bowl. So this is the tamper for my Vitamix. You use it to push down and stir around in the Vitamix if you want to. That's it there. And I'm just going to use it to push down on these here and squish them a bit. And get some compressed in there, gets their juices going a bit, and gets them working well in there. Now, I've done this several different ways. I've added my salt in there before and then just fill it up with water, which is actually not a bad thing to do because you know you're only getting the right amount of salt. So that's actually what we'll do today. You can mix up your water ahead of time, but then if you don't use all the water, you may not have quite as much salt as you wanted. So I've got here coarse sea salts. You can use fine ground, whatever. Just natural sea salt is the best. It's got extra minerals and things in it. Don't use iodized if you can help it. It'll work, but I don't like to use iodized salt because you want as natural salt as you can get those extra beneficial minerals and things out of there. Now, the yogurt, I think you can see in there, it's got a little bit of runoff on it, but you'll see when I pour into the side here, what did we get? Maybe a tablespoon? That's all you need. Even a teaspoon's enough to get it started. So you can see I've already poured all my ingredients in, my salt and my, say, tablespoon of runoff from my yogurt. And now I'm just going to add the water now, because now I can make sure I got exactly the right amount of water as it runs through. And you're probably wondering, well, how's it going to get mixed up properly with the salt? Well, that's easy enough, because we're just going to put the lid on, and then we're going to go to town with shaking it up a bit. So there, we've got it pretty much full. We're up to about here. You want to leave a good inch or close to an inch. Usually the neck of the jar is fine. And then you want to put your lid on. Don't use the white plastic lids, the reusable ones you can get. They're great for things like making yogurt, or storing things in the jars like dry goods, but they don't seal as well. These, the old-fashioned metal lids with the collar on them, they seal perfectly and allow you to get a really good seal. So we've got that all in there right now, as you can see, and I'm just tightening it on. And now I'm just going to take it, I'm just going to invert it back and forth. And what I'm doing here is just mixing up the whey and the salt into the jar so that the fluid, the liquid in here, becomes our brine. That is our pickling brine. So that's our 2 teaspoons of salt and our approximately a tablespoon, maybe a little bit less, of the whey from the yogurt. So, and that gives us our nice good bacteria inoculation from the yogurt. So now what I'll also do is, once we've done that a bit, I open it up again, and I'm just going to give it another tamp because it's got all shook up and whatnot. And you want to make sure that you want to try and keep the liquid over the top of the vegetables. And I'll show you another little trick I've been doing lately. Let me just grab something here. Okay, this is parchment paper. So sometimes the problem is you want to keep that area there, but the vegetables want to float in the liquid, in the brine. So what I've started doing, and I used to do this without doing it, so it's not necessary, but I take a little piece of parchment paper, which you can get dirt cheap at the store, and I snip off a little piece here with the scissors. So it's about this size here. So as you can see, it's maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches square. And then I just take it and I push it in to the top here and fold it in on itself. And what it does is it kind of lets the water get on top of it and creates a barrier so that the vegetables stay down and the brine stays on top. So you're keeping your water barrier on top of your vegetables. So that way the top vegetables are not exposed to air, because you don't want the top vegetables exposed to air, because then it's not a hugely bad thing, but they can go bad. In a worst case situation, it could spread throughout the rest of it. But what's probably just going to happen is you'll have a couple on top that are starting to go a little brownish, and you just pull those out and throw them out, and the rest of the jar is really good. This method that I've been doing with a little bit of parchment paper tamped down on there solves that whole problem, because you're creating kind of like a water lock on top, because it keeps the vegetables from floating up and keeps water on top of them, which is exactly what you want. And then you just take them like this. Usually what I'll do, and I'll probably do that a little later on after the video is done, is I take a piece of paper and tape it to it, or a canning sticker if I have one, and I just write the date and what's in it. So, and then I just put that over on the counter, and then that is going to sit there for 3 to 5 days. So if the days are warmer, and they have been warming up in the day again, so like I said, if you're around 70 to 80 in the house, 3 days is probably fine. If your house is on the little cooler side, say your AC's up or it's just cold outside and you're running in the 60 to 70 range, you might need 5 days, maybe 6 days. You'll know because the vegetables will start turning. I'll show you. We'll grab one. This is one I've already done. And you can see the difference. The liquid's getting cloudier. And you can see that, I'm just going to slide this back so the camera can see it. Oh, there we go. Needs to go forward, not back. The camera can see that there, and you'll see that the vegetables change. They get, like for instance, when you're doing sauerkraut, the cabbage goes from green to kind of that sauerkraut looking. It becomes more translucent and goes a little bit yellow. When you open it, it should be a fresh, clean, pickled smell. If you open it and it stinks and rotten, something's gone wrong and it's not good. You'll know the difference. Your nose will tell you. And then basically put them in the fridge and eat them up. It's good for your gut. It's good for all that bacteria and stuff that you need in your gut to keep you healthy, just like what you get from yogurt, but now you can get it from vegetables. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon with more great cooking videos and recipes here at weighthealthsynergy.com. Thanks.